And now I want to turn to a fact check I mentioned you were going to do earlier in the show. And this involves something very important as we deal with these tough times. I'm talking about accountability. President Trump now on defense over what is clearly one of the greatest scandals of his very controversial presidency, the mishandling of the pandemic, the spreading of misinformation, now backing away from the medical briefings that many experts argued with Trump's involvement were doing as much harm as good. Now tonight, I can tell you the White House is arguing Donald Trump just didn't know how bad this would all get. New reports, though, show Trump was briefed twice verbally about the coronavirus spreading back in January and told it was going to spread globally. Trump now downplaying that briefing.
On January 23rd, I was told that there could be a virus coming in, but it was of no real import. In other words, it wasn't, oh, we got to do something.
It's important to ask the question. That question clearly was posed there in that Fox News appearance, but the answer is lacking. So let me show you the facts. This is another example of why reporting and facts matter. Donald Trump's clearly pushing back because if people learn he blew off these warnings, it may shape public views of him and whether he's fit for re-election. And here are the facts. They show across January and February, Trump got over 10 more warnings about the coronavirus in those very important daily briefings. Now, that's counting up secret briefings behind the scenes. Then you can add in the public warnings, and it actually gets even worse for the president. Now, because this is a big debate in the country, I want to go a little deeper on one example of a public warning. Take February 25th. This headline says it all. CDC officials warn of coronavirus outbreaks in the U.S. And let me tell you exactly what that New York Times story read like, because it's really striking to think about it now. We looked it up, and it says, quote, federal health officials starkly warned the new coronavirus will almost certainly spread in the U.S. and that hospitals, businesses, and schools should begin making preparations. And then came the now infamous warning from the doctor in charge of a CDC immunization center saying, quote, it's not so much of a question of if this will happen anymore, but rather more a question of exactly when will this happen. That's Dr. Nancy Messonnier. She also added in that same public warning that cities should start planning for social distancing measures like dividing school classes into smaller groups or closing schools altogether. Meetings should be canceled, she said. Businesses should arrange for employees to work from home. End quote from that New York Times report. It was all right there in public. And you know who was listening? A lot of stock traders, because the markets plunged that day. They heard the same public warnings that Donald Trump now wants you to believe didn't exist. Now, what do you do when a pandemic is headed your way? Well, you know what? There were warnings about that, too. From the CDC, like I just quoted, from other doctors, publicly and privately, from Bill Gates, who personally lobbied Donald Trump on this issue and publicly outlined the challenge facing any country looking at this kind of pandemic. Here he was in 2015.
The problem was that we didn't have a system at all. In fact, there are some pretty obvious key missing pieces. We didn't have a group of epidemiologists ready to go, and a large epidemic would require us to have hundreds of thousands of workers. It didn't get into many urban areas, and that was just luck. So next time we might not be so lucky. It would spread throughout the world very, very quickly. If we start now, we can be ready for the next epidemic.
These are the kind of warnings the president is now telling everyone with a straight face don't exist. This may be the kind of fact check he doesn't want you to see. And let me be crystal clear. We're talking about public health, not ideology. Being prepared is not about getting points for being right. It's about being prepared so you can save lives. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.